Hello, my name is Volker Jansen. Today I will introduce you to an outstanding video game by the name of Pharao. Sierra first published Pharao in 1999 and made the game available for Windows platforms only from Windows 95 through to Windows XP. Although the game was highly successful due to Sierra Incorporated being taken over from another publisher, the game was no longer supported in later Windows versions. Distributed on CD-ROM, it was a single-player game that was solely available for PCs, which is quite unusual by today's standards, where everything is downloadable from the World Wide Web. After installation, it was required to keep the CD inside the drive so that modules for certain parts of the game could be called on demand. The game dates back to a time when communication on the World Wide Web was still primarily single-direction and non-responsive. Mobile phones were exclusively used to call and receive calls. Using mobile devices to connect to the World Wide Web was not possible, and storage capacity certainly didn't allow for gaming. Pharao was developed as a city-building strategy game set in ancient Egypt, with the first level beginning about 5,000 years ago. Video games such as Pharao have a close relation to early strategy board games such as chess. The resemblance might not be obvious instantly, but both games have common characteristics. The game player has to make uncoerced and autonomous decisions. For the next decision to be made, it is necessary to take all the different aspects that might impact on the underlying long-term strategy into consideration. Pharao is a casual game with a primarily positive look and feel. Punishment for underperforming will rather result in having to restart on the current level than somewhat drastic exits such as being killed as in shooter games. But being what independent game designer Carl Gabler defined as a juicy game, offering lots of rewards and cascading interactions, Pharao is highly addictive. Giving the player a sense of power can easily turn a casual video gamer into a hardcore user. Still, the experience is very pleasant, with a high level of usability and intuitive design. Thanks to a Polish games distributor by the name of Good Old Games, or simply GOG.com, outdated games are still available. Pharao is now even available for Windows 8. As the name already implies, Pharao is situated in historical Egypt at the times of the pyramids and the Sphinx. The player takes on the role of the pharaoh and decides to found a new city close to the river Nile. All the visible top-level navigation items are displayed in icon form. Hovering above each icon will reveal what is offered underneath. Second-level pull-out selection menus are written. Everything that is not available on the first level is grayed out and cannot be accessed by clicking the icon. The top taskbar indicates how much money is left in the pharaoh's vaults and how many people have settled down in the new township. The first tasks are very simple: build roads and houses to attract settlers. As these new immigrants need to sustain themselves, wells, a hunting shop, a storage facility, and bazaars are required to offer food to the new township. Employment leads to salary, and salary can be taxed so that the pharaoh receives urgently required funding for future projects. Clicking on houses, the pharaoh can reveal if citizens are happy, if they have access to all the facilities to satisfy their needs. Even individuals can be clicked, which will result in a verbal response about their current situation.
Being hungry all the time isn't good for me.
The further the player advances, the more demands will be brought forward, not only from the inhabitants of the growing city, but also from the gods, trade partners and merchants. Researching the legacy of comments about the game experience, the most common response about the quality of the game, what makes it so addictive, is clearly the design. While other games of the period had a very limited playground, Pharao always covered the entire screen. Additional options to change the perspective and to zoom in enable the player to look behind buildings or otherwise confined nooks and crannies. Pharao was created by game designer Chris Beatrice for Impression Games, a studio held by publisher Sierra Incorporated, one of the most influential game publishers of the 1990s. Beatrice has been awarded for his work on historic city-building game designs, of which Pharao is a great example. In several publications between 1999 and 2006, Pharao was rated at an average of 82.5% out of 100. While Pharao is no longer updated, Egyptian city building is still a video gamer's option. Starting his own studio, Tilted Mill Entertainment, in 2001, Chris Beatrice continued as a lead designer for further successful city building games, among them Children of the Nile, which can be seen as a successor of Pharao.